really, to be good examples, let's all run, walk half the 5K tomorrow. The other thing that's really, this is going to sound really self-serving, but tomorrow after the 5K, and the pages are going to be gone tomorrow, there's going to be many excuses to ditch tomorrow's meetings. Seriously. I got to shower, I got to shower my kids, that Hahn guy, I've heard him for 4 days straight, I'm sick of him, blah, blah, blah. But tomorrow's talk is probably going to be the most interesting one of the week. Let's be honest, you guys know you have to eat better. You know you have to exercise. The stuff tomorrow is more about the psychology of how to really get your life kind of online. So it sounds bad, but really I want you guys to come tomorrow, okay? Because I don't want to be just talking to my wife. It's very depressing. Okay, why don't we get going here? Okay, now a garden cafe. You know what this is? No, it's vegan patbinsu, okay? This is awesome. It's vegan, it's no sugar, gluten-free, non-GMO, organic, not processed, whole food, only 3 tickets. All right, also totally guilt-free. All right, so think about that. You can order this, seriously. I think, you got it, yeah. Walking around like eating, totally vegan patbinsu. Okay, so it can't be done. Now, the world is crazy. We keep harping on that fact. This is interesting. Anyone know who this guy is? I don't expect you to. This is an incredible story. Oh, who's even looking at the guy? All right? All right. So his name is John Benton. You know what his job is? He's personal trainer to high-end models. He charges, I can't remember, was it 10 or 30,000? He charges a lot, and these women pay for it. You know what their goal is? What is success, and why he keeps getting money? What do the models want to achieve? Yeah, so the models start off looking like this. They look great, and then they look like this. They still look great. But what the models want is they want to carve off 1/2 inch to 1 inch off their waist, hips, and thighs. That is the actual goal. So they're going to drop 10 to 30K to go hang out with this guy to shrink a little bit. And in the interview was really interesting. They talk to him and they go, John, don't you think that these standards are crazy? And then we can talk forever about image and disproportionate and image problems, especially with females. And his quote was, yes, these standards are absurd, but this is the world we live in. All right, we don't have to choose to live in this world. This is crazy, but this is what it's gone to in the world today. Everyone got real serious all of a sudden. Okay, this is now going to lighten it up a little bit. No one's happy. There's a great cartoon from Matt. Hey, anyone read The Oatmeal? Matt Inman. He's a big runner. He writes about exercise, riding, and it's really funny. But look at this. Here's the big guy. I wish I looked normal like that guy. I bet he's happy. Here's the normal guy. Man, I wish I could leave these love handles like that guy. I bet he feels secure. Next, the lean, skinny guy. Man, I wish I had ginormous, meaty muscles like that guy. I bet girls line up around the block for him. And what does the big guy feel like? I wish I could say smart, clever things like that guy. I bet people respect him at work. All right, the bottom line is no one is happy with the way they look. And I've been really happy listening to Jerry and Janet talk about this, because the parallel for this is our spiritual life. How often do we feel like, man, we're just not worthy, we're not good enough, I keep screwing it up. In our own spiritual life, often we're not happy. And then we measure ourselves like, oh man, that pastor, he's so good, or my brother's so good, I'm doing so bad, and you just beat yourself up. It doesn't do any good. It's not healthy for you. You can't be happy. Okay. Now, when you start losing weight, what's the biggest thing that stops you from continuing on your weight loss? What's one of the biggest things? If you just read the slide. All right. So it's hunger. Okay. So this is interesting. They measured hunger like ghrelin, IL, whatever, and they measured all your hunger hormones when you're heavy, after you lost weight, and they measured it up to 2 years after you had maintained your weight loss. And what they found out is all the hunger hormones are still highly activated 2 years out. So think about that. You may have lost a bunch of weight, you're doing great, you're in maintenance phase, but you are chemically, biologically hungry. All right, that is very difficult. So there has to be mechanisms to get around that, because you're going to use a ton of willpower to just not to fight through being hungry. It's very difficult. All right, and then I have a bunch of patients say, I don't care what I eat, I'm going to work it off. This is interesting data. Basically, if you have one medium French fries at McDonald's, you got to swim for an hour 12 minutes to burn that off. That's to get back to 0. All right, so the joke, we always say it, you can't outrun a bad diet. You cannot outrun a bad diet. That's why diet is fundamental, foundational to what we do. This is where it gets really scary. Anyone know what the law of diminishing returns is? That's a number. That's good. But what's the theory? The more you do something, the benefit becomes less and less and less. All right. Do you guys believe that? No, you don't. You guys tell your kids, practice more piano. Right? 3 hours, not 2. All right? And violin. And do your kumon. So we really don't believe that. But it's actually interesting. So there's 2 theories. And they measure this by using, this is a really good study, they measure this using radioactive hydrogen, so they knew exactly how much fuel you were burning. So there's 2 theories. One is the additive theory. The more you exercise, PA is physical activity. The more you exercise, the more energy you burn. Then the other theory is constrained. At some point, you plateau, and no matter what you do, your body starts burning less calories. Which theory do you think is right? Which theory do you want to be right? Yeah, we all want this. We all actually think this. Run more. And this happens all the time when you talk to your friends. You're like, oh man, I'm running 3 miles a day. I'm not losing weight. And what do you tell them? Run 4. All right, that's probably not going to do it. They're going to quit, and then they're going to run 0. So I tested this. And this is kind of what they found here. What they found is after you start exercising, after a certain point, your body starts to conserve its energy. Why? This is very interesting. Survival. Your body is scared that it's going to need energy later. So it does everything it can to save calories. So it starts becoming more efficient as you exercise. All right. Same thing, burning fat. Your body, fat is deep-term, long-term storage for calories. Your body never wants to tap into fat because you may need that someday when you're starving. All right. So we have to kind of break through these barriers here. Okay. Now, also about losing. Who's ever watched, or actually who knows about Biggest Loser? Who's ever watched an episode? Okay, so kind of like no one's happy. So I don't know if you saw this. This one girl dropped 155 pounds. And what was the big problem? Everyone was saying now she's too skinny. So you can't win. You're either too big or you're too skinny. You can't win this. It's really sad. And we'll talk about Biggest Loser in a little bit as well. Okay, we're going to talk about it right now. Okay, so there's a really interesting published study about The Biggest Loser. They took all the, I think it was season 6. I forgot what season they did it. And they watched them for 6 years after they left the show. This is really, just focus on the left side. Weight gain. These are all the dots of the contestants. And everyone, what did they do? They regained almost everything. One guy dropped his weight because he had gastric bypass surgery after the TV show. Okay? So 99% of people regain all their weight after Biggest Loser. All right. This is really, really important. Metabolism, resting metabolic rate. And they measured this on the people. Almost everyone after the show, their calorie burn, their resting metabolic rate, slowed down. So they're burning less and less calories, even though they're leaner. All right? Who's depressed now? Yeah, no, seriously, that means we're fighting against a lot of stuff here. This is also interesting too. So here's body weight change. We talked about that already. This is important. Free fat mass or lean body mass was flat in these guys. Almost no gain, and all the gain was gaining back fat mass. So basically all gained back fat. Now, why did this happen? Okay, that's part of it.
Hunger hormones.
Hunger hormones, yeah. Yeah, they can't maintain what?
The rigorous, unexpected.
Yeah, wow, my hearing's getting bad, can't tell who's talking. Okay, but yeah, so there's a couple of reasons, right? One, reality TV is not free. Does anyone know what the contestants get to do? So you go to the ranch for 9 months. Right, you have a personal chef. I actually talked to Robert Huizinga. He's the medical director for Biggest Loser. They get an 1,800 calorie diet that's healthy, organic, made by a chef. They don't have to cook or clean. They have a personal trainer. They work out 2 times a day. You know what I call that? That's my dream. All right? I mean, there's like, in my mind, I go, maybe I should just get really fat and just apply to the show and then go live there. That'd be like awesome. All right. But that's not realistic. All right. So the one thing, they didn't gain any muscle mass. We already talked about yesterday, muscle mass burns more fat, burns more calories. We need to have more lean muscle mass. All right. The other thing is, when you come back home off the ranch, you don't go back to a chef and a personal trainer. You go back to your kids and your job. You can't exercise twice a day. All right, you can't have, and then you're going to go back to probably the same eating patterns that you had before. You may have learned, I mean, actually you probably didn't learn because someone was just giving you the food. They didn't learn how to cook. They didn't learn how to shop. They just learned how to eat good food. All right. All right, and this is important too. Their metabolic rate, like we talked about, seriously dropped down. We're going to talk about that in a little bit here. And basically, without exercise, because they had no exercise program anymore, it's really hard to cut the calories. All right. Now, this is one of the other, this is not in the study, this is a lady, Ada Wong, who is in another season of Biggest Loser. This is her at the beginning. All right. This is her at the end of the show. So what happened to her? She dropped, I think, 105 pounds. So leaves the show, was second place. Over the next couple of years, she puts back the 100 pounds. Then she drops the 100 pounds again. How? No, no, that'd be so depressing. This is an inspirational slide, okay? Yeah, she actually became a runner. Has anyone seen this movie, From Fat to Finish Line? All right, there's something called a Ragnar relay. I don't know if you guys have heard this. It's basically a 200-mile race. You get a bunch of teammates, you get a van, and you take turns running, and it takes 2 days to do it, and you run over 200 miles. So this is really cool. So on Facebook, 12 people got together to join as a team. They had never met each other. All right. The whole team dropped about 100 pounds each, so they dropped over a ton as a group, and they all did the race, and they all completed the Ragnar relay. So now her thing is like she runs. She exercises all the time. She has brought some of what she learned at the ranch and brought it back home, which is exercise. Okay, but this is what we really want, okay? Now, how do you get a six-pack? Sit-ups. Sit-ups don't work. So you can't spot reduce, right? Everyone knows that. You can do crunchies till you vomit. That's not going to do a thing for your abs. Fat. So for guys, when do guys get a six-pack? Huh? Yeah, you need to have a percent body fat around 12. You can probably get a 4-pack around 15, 16. When you get about 10, you have a 6-pack. When you're 5, you're like sinewy ripped. Now girls, how cut or how lean do you have to be to probably have a 4-pack? Yeah, if you're 15% and you're a female, you're really lean. Because most women carry a little bit more fat, and that's normal. All right, but it's not spot reducing. It's not even building muscle. You have to eliminate fat, okay? All right, now what's the best way to drop fat? Increase muscle. Well, what can you actively do? Like a concrete aerobic. So that's what everyone says. Aerobic exercise is the best way. Aerobic exercise is probably the least efficient way to do it, and we'll talk about why. Here, if you run on the treadmill 5 days a week, what's that called? Torture, yeah. There's actually a phrase from personal trainers. They call it the road to nowhere. You're putting in the time, you're putting the effort, you're not going to get the result you want. All right? And there's a lot of reasons for that, and we'll go over that here. What we all need is some LSD. Does anyone know what LSD is? Not from personal experience, but just general, knowledge base? Huh? Okay, my hearing isn't so good. All right. Okay, we'll go on anyway. All right, so in runner lingo, LSD is long, slow distance. And this is the genesis of the idea that running on a treadmill is going to make you drop fat. All right, how many minutes do you have to run before your body goes, I got to turn on the fat cells because my glycogen level is getting low? Numbers. 20, 30 minutes? 1 hour? 2 hours? All right, the general rule for really fit people is 2 hours. You have to be at some steady state aerobic capacity for 2 hours before your body goes, the glycogen level is so low, we have to start mobilizing fat. Who likes to run for 2 hours? Who has time to do that? Nobody. All right, now some people can activate fat in 90 minutes. some people have 45 minutes. Almost no one gets fat turned on in 30 minutes. American diet is so carb heavy. We are so glycogen, like that's why you've heard like carb loading, glycogen loading before marathons. No one needs to do that because American diet is so loaded in carbs already. There's no need. Your glycogen levels are topped off even in the morning before you eat breakfast. Seriously. So this isn't very effective. Whoop. So let's skip that here. All right. Whoop. That slide didn't work. Insanity. What is insanity? Yeah, okay, you read fast. Okay, I was going to say there's like a Shanti exercise thing. But actually, it's doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. So if you're on a certain program and you're not getting the results you want, or things are not happening, you're not getting faster, you're not building muscle, you're not losing weight, then you should probably do what? Change the plan. I mean, a lot of people, it's very interesting. Now, why do we not change the plan? This is very important. Why don't we change? Lack of knowledge is important. Too much work. There's probably a bigger factor. Do people like change? Do you like to change jobs, move houses, go to a different church, ask a different girl out? No. Right? Because it's scary. All right, we like comfort. We like the same thing again and again. There's a great quote here. The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. The thing you know you should do or you want to try that you're scared to do, that's probably where you're going to get the benefit. So you have to go in the cave. Unless it's this cave. Don't go in that cave. Okay, it's scary. Okay? All right. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Clowns aren't that bad. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to start talking about some different ways that you can, basically the idea is to shock your system into doing something different. And one of the big strategies is doing something intermittently or differently. If you do the same thing all the time, your body will get used to it. So suppose I have a 10-pound dumbbell, and every day I do 3 sets of 15. In about 4 weeks, it's going to be so easy. There's going to be no load. There's no stress on the system. It's not going to do any good. So that's why weightlifting and running are good, because with weightlifting, what happens is when you know you can do it easily, you up the weight. So you're always putting a new load. And running, a lot of people who don't do this, like I'm doing the same 3 miles, you should run a little bit faster or a little bit longer, or better, do both. You have to change the stimulus on your system here. Okay, so this is one. This is a very interesting study. What is the problem with almost every dietary study out there, including Adventist Health too? How did they get their data? Survey. So what they do is they send me a survey and they go, can you estimate what your weekly diet is for the last 1 year? And what do people do? They don't. It's not called cheating. It's called lying. Okay? And so what happens is this has been well demonstrated in the physician's health study. Doctors underestimate, underreport how much they drink, overreport how much they exercise, underreport how much they smoke, all those things. So the survey data is very skewed. All right. This study is incredible. What they did is they gave the people the food. Then they watched how much they ate and they recorded, the scientists recorded. Then when they were exercising, they watched them directly as they exercised. They knew exactly what they were eating, exactly how much, and exactly how much they're exercising. All right, but this is a very hard to do study here. And this is the protein group, there's high protein, and the control group. The control group got 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram per day. Who eats that much right now? Probably no one in this room. That's actually a pretty heavy load. The high protein group, 2.4 grams of protein per kilogram per day. That's like a job. Your whole job is to eat protein. It's very hard. Now, the other thing in this study is they actually reduced the overall calorie load by 30%, and they were working out with weights twice a week, doing HIIT twice a week, and doing something else. So they're actually observed exercise 5 times a week. And the idea is when you're working out really hard, what are you losing most and what can you build? And what they found out here, basically, body mass, both these guys, high protein, low protein group, they dropped weight. You cannot help but drop weight. You're low calorie and you're exercising like crazy. What's interesting is lean body mass in the protein group went up, and you have more fat burn with the high protein diet. All right, so I'm not advocating that you have to do this. This is something that you may want to think about to change it up. But getting that much protein is very difficult, even if you eat a bunch of dead animals. That's a lot of protein. All right, something to think about. Restricting calories. All right, this actually works, and this is one of like 900 billion studies. But basically, they looked at just restricting calories. The goal was to cut your calories by 1/4, which is a pretty big number. The patients actually dropped it by, I think, like 10 or 12%, but they actually got 10% weight loss. So even a mild, moderate calorie restriction is going to help you gain your goals. Now, the problem is at some point, your body's going to adjust to this. So these are all things you can think about doing, kind of jumpstart the program, but then it's going to get harder later on here. Okay. Does anyone fast in here in any degree? Okay. So there's a bunch of different fasting mechanisms here. There's total fast. There's ADF, which is alternate day fasting. Then there's what we call time restricted fasting, and that's what I do except for a camp meeting where, seriously, it's really hard to do here. But you'll fast for like 15 or 16 hours, and you'll let yourself eat for 8 hours. All right. And the whole point of that is when you totally fast, that's very difficult. It's a big shock on your system. You want to have a little bit of stimulus to change and stimulate and shock your body, and then go back to normal here. I don't think I put it in here. No, I didn't. Shoot. Okay, so there's a study. Why do you want to fast? There's actually multiple reasons. Why? Yeah, but what's the ultimate goal? I mean, I'm going to take a minute here, and Joyce always reminds me. So we're talking about fat loss, but the whole point of losing fat is not to get a six-pack or to lose weight or to look good. The whole point is to be healthy. But what are the benefits of fasting?
Gives your stomach a break.
Gives your stomach a break, yeah. I don't care. I'm not a GI guy. I don't care about the stomach. Elliot cares about the stomach, but I don't care. Okay, I didn't put the study in here, but there's actually data. So terminally differentiated, and I'm going to bore the heck out of you. Terminally differentiated cells like your neurons, your myocytes, your muscle cells. What did they teach you in high school biology or even med school? When that cell dies, what happens? It's gone. Is that true? No. So now they have found stem cells that can be turned on in your noggin, definitely in your heart, all these different organs. So you can regenerate to some degree. So the biggest study for alternate day fasting, I didn't put this in here because I'm not a neurologist, I'm a cardiologist. But the most interesting study is it actually turns on, activates stem cells in your brain. And they think it has an impact on memory and dementia. All right. So that's a big reason to do it. And a lot of people, when they talk about the people that are fasting, is they go mental clarity. They go, my brain is so sharp, that's why I like to do it. And I'll be honest, for me, it's made a big difference. I'm so more efficient in the morning doing work at work. It's crazy. I get so much more stuff done. Also, like reading your Bible in the morning for devotion, things are just really rolling. It's really awesome. But the plan is this. 2 days a week, not back to back, you drop to about 500 calories for male, 600 for female. All right. Now that, to be honest, I tried this. I lasted about, looking at Joyce, yeah, 2 hours. No, I lasted for about a week, man. Come on. I lasted about a week, and then I was so irritable. I can't do this. I quit. But the 16-8 thing is actually working for me. I'm not getting all angry and depressed and stuff. So this is something to think about. And this is enough. You don't want to do this every day, but if you do this 2 times a week, it makes a difference. Now, this is really interesting. Where did these guys get the idea to just fast 2 times a week? What did the Pharisees do? We don't want to be Pharisees, but what did they do? They fasted 2 times a week. All right? And those guys are the most studious, knowledgeable people in the Jewish country. What else is interesting is, do you guys know what the tithing level is for really strict Pharisees? It's actually, there's 3 tithes. Tithes is 10%. So there's really strict Pharisees with tithe 30%. 10, 10, 10. So think about that as a goal. That's actually pretty interesting. Okay. And this is the thing that really stops fasting is when you get hangry, really get hungry. All right. All right. Now, all-day fasting exercise. Now, the other thing is when you combine fasting plus start exercising, there's actually a synergistic effect. And we'll go through this. This is hard to read, but just focus on the combination of your body weight, body mass index, fat mass, free fat mass, which is lean mass, and circumference. And what you can tell, the biggest drop, the biggest benefit was when you fasted alternate day and you exercise. All right. Exercise by itself didn't do that much in a 3-month period. All right. So combined together can have a big impact on you. All right. And what's really cool is the combination also did a lot better for your lipid panel. So your cholesterol really dropped off by doing this. Probably because, and the idea is, your body is in a state where it goes, man, I need to get some fat, I need some energy. So you're pulling off fat sooner, faster, earlier in the exercise cycle. Okay. Now also you can do this, the one thing that I was really interested in this, any super long runners in here? Like marathon or longer runners? Okay. Anyone know what the depletion run is? So there's a certain run where you try to really make your fat cells turn on. You'll go low carb for 2 or 3 days, and then you go on the long run with no breakfast and only water, no fuel. And the idea is you teach your body to use fat. Okay? Now that's really hard to do. What these guys did is, we're going to not eat before we do aerobic exercise. And what they found out basically is you have increased fat oxidation, decreased insulin levels, decreased glucose levels. So it actually worked. And I do this, I'm shocked. Actually, you feel better when you exercise on an empty stomach. It's really incredible. And if you look at the numbers here, this is alternate day fasting. Look at weight, fat loss, cholesterol, triglycerides. And you can see there's a big drop in alternate day, or you do a whole day fast. Time restricted, what I'm doing, the data is not so good at this point. But there's different ways you can try. All right? And like I said, you fast 2 times a week, that's probably good enough. Okay. This also goes for resistance, like weight training. You can actually have no breakfast, weight train, and then refuel afterward. And that makes a difference in your fat loss. All right? Okay. Now this is kind of hard to do, but this is a great quote to think about. It's hard to implement. I'm going to fast 2 days a week, or I'm not going to eat for 16 hours. These are hard things to do, but actually, listen to Aristotle here. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence in is not an act, but it's a habit. The more you do something, the easier it gets. The more you do, all that accrued benefit starts coming on. Same thing. Devotion every day, talking with your wife every day, exercise every day. All these things start adding up over time. It's really interesting. All right. Who knows what HIIT is? Training. Okay. So why do we do HIIT? There's 2 reasons to do a HIIT. Number 1 reason most people say is what? Time. All right. Which is, like we talked about yesterday, that's a terrible thing. Like, what's the minimum amount of time I have to exercise? But it makes a big difference here. All right. So if you do about 4 or 5 cycles of HIIT, and HIIT basically is you go hard for 30 seconds, you go easy for 90 seconds or 2 minutes. All right. And if you do 4 or 5 cycles of that, that's worth almost double the time running steady state. So if you do about 20 minutes of HIIT, that's like 45 minutes of jogging. So we're talking about some serious time saving here. All right. And here's some data on this. And this is fat oxidation in women. So I know women are the people that care most about fat oxidation. All right. And no, seriously, that's not even a joke. That's like reality. All right. But look at this pre-training. This is how much fat you burn. This is how much you burn after you do HIIT. So there's another benefit. Not only are you burning more during the HIIT cycle, your metabolism is ramped up and higher for hours after you do HIIT. Now, once I step off the treadmill, what happens to my metabolism? It starts going down. What you want to do are do things where you keep burning calories down the road here. Okay, so basically, if you think about HIIT, if you do 5 cycles of 30 seconds, that's 2.5 minutes of hard work versus 45 minutes of jogging slow. And then the rest interval, doesn't matter what you do, you could walk during the rest interval. All it matters is you have to go really hard during those short segments. Now, okay. Anyone know what EPOC is? Okay, it's okay. It's excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. This is post-exercise calorie burn. So this is like the holy grail for exercise. What can we do to keep burning calories after we're done exercising? All right, then there's a couple things here. Ooh, skip this. There's 2 big things that can do it. One is I hit something very vigorous. So here's a study looking at very vigorous exercise. And this is an MRI where they're, this is it's an MRI looking at how much calories you're burning. Doesn't look impressive, but basically after you do something hard, your calorie burn is higher for the next 14 hours. So if you do HIIT training, it's not just 2 or 3 hours, it's 14 hours of extra burning calories. What burns calories better longer? Yeah, actually weightlifting. So an acute period of resistance exercise on EPOC, all right? And what we find here basically is they think you have about 48 hours after a good weightlifting session or body weight exercise session where you're burning more calories than normal. And that's why, how many times do they recommend the average person to lift weights per week? What do they tell you? Lift weights? Usually 2. Because you exercise on that one day, then you have 2 more days, so it's basically 3 gives you 6. So basically, if you exercise, lift weights 2 times a week, your whole week is covered by excess calorie burn. There is some rationale behind what these guys are telling you to do. It's all based on science, all right? So lifting weights is a good thing. Just doing push-ups, that's great. That's all you need to do, some kind of resistance, stressing out your muscles and stuff here. All right, now what's the worst thing you can do post-recovery, post-exercise? You got to eat a little bit, you got to refuel. But this is a great cartoon here. So it's like, I run long distances for the worst possible reason. I run to eat. I punish my body outdoors to atone for my atrocities indoors. All right. Are you going to watch Gladiator again? Also, I don't think you should really keep eating like that. This is a Nutella jug that he's just sucking with a straw. He's watching Gladiator. Nonsense, I run 20 miles a day. All right, so people feel justified in doing that. Okay? I know I should stop, but I'm not going to. All right, so I had a patient who was going to, I think, Zumba class like 4 times a week, and she was gaining weight. And I was like, man, why are you gaining weight? And I go, what are you doing after you exercise? And you know what she told me? I go home, I have a bag of Doritos as my reward, and I have a margarita. So everything she had just done, she just destroyed it in the next 5 minutes. All right, so be careful how you refuel. Okay, this is really important. This is the other key to losing weight. People don't understand this, but you have to sleep. All right, a lot of people think if I don't sleep at all, I'm burning more calories all the time. That may be true to some degree, but this is a very interesting study. They actually followed people around. I think these were college students, and they watched them as they didn't sleep or slept, and they kept track of what they ate. And this is what they. And let's go over the problems here. If you're tired, you have low willpower. When someone gives you a slice of pizza or a donut, what are you gonna do? You're just gonna eat it. All right, low willpower. Also, this is crazy, and we can. If you go back to your PUC college days, we know this to be true. When you're doing an all-nighter to study, what are you doing during the all-nighter? You're nibbling. You're eating ramen, whatever, corned beef hash, rice, all this kind of stuff. All right. Then the next day, you actually eat more fat, because actually they have this in the MRI study. You actually want to reward yourself even more. All right. So we'll look at the study here. Basically, these are kind of the reward centers in your brain. They're turned on if you're sleep deprived. All right. Control subjects have normal activation. So that means you're looking for something sweet or fat to reward yourself. All right. So the next day, you're going to get a lot more fat, a lot more calories put in. So sleep deprived subjects, they have a lot. This is how many calories they're absorbing here. But overnight, they have all this extra calories that they're taking in, where the control subjects were sleeping and they weren't ingesting extra calories. Okay, this is a very short talk here. But in summary here, don't worry about weight, worry about fat. That's probably the biggest goal to kind of get rid of here. All right. As you lose weight, like we talked about in the Biggest Loser study, your metabolism is going to slow down. All right. So there's going to have to be you're going to reach a plateau in everything you do. You're going to have to do something different to kind of get your system kind of jump started here. All right. And to do that, basically build muscles, more lean body mass burns more calories, so lift, body weight exercises, rubber bands, whatever, that works. You have to go hard or go long when you run, or you got to do both. And time is a big factor here. And you have to adjust calories. Either cut them back a little bit more, which is at some point you can't cut calories enough. But things like alternate day fasting or time restricted fasting can really help in that regard here. All right. Thank you for your attention. We're done early today. All right. Any questions?
How often do you do the fasting, the 16-8?
I try to do it 5 or 6 days a week. The weekends are harder, so sometimes on the weekends, I don't do it.
So basically, you end eating at 8 and then...
Yeah, then I don't eat until lunch. Yeah.
Is that like the rest of your life?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, that's a legitimate question, because that's about sustainability. If something is so hard that you can't do it, then you can't do it for more than a couple of weeks or months, then you fall off the wagon. But yeah, I've been doing it. I just started cold turkey, doing the 16-8. I think like 6 or 8 weeks ago, and it's been easy. I did the alternate day fasting for 1 week, and I was miserable. So it depends on what works.
What happens, I mean, there's a theory out there that breakfast is really important for you, and
Yeah.
you're skipping that meal.
Yeah, so actually we looked at data 2 days ago. Breakfast, you're probably asleep during that time, it's okay. But breakfast is probably, they think it's good for you. But what happened, they found the people that skip breakfast, they were in a group of habits, like on the rush, eating a bunch of processed food, snacking all the time, where they thought that was the bigger impact, not the skipping breakfast. Yeah, so I mean, I was telling my kids, now this is a little bit different. For us, we are differently built than our kids. Has anyone read the book Spark? Okay, really good book. But anyway, to really help your kids need to, tomorrow starts when? Today. Your kids need to go to bed, just like Pastor Rich was saying. Get your kids to bed for multiple reasons. Go to sleep, sleep's important. Your kids need breakfast. Your kids are using up, they're like little furnaces. They're burning calories like crazy. So they need breakfast. And also what they don't need is sugar, caffeine, and processed junk, especially in the morning. Man, the cereals of today are horrific. One thing that I used to eat, I eat now as a snack. Have you guys tried Cashy Go Lean cereals? Okay. Now, there's some really horrible tasting Go Lean cereals, but there's like 14 of them. You can find a good tasty one. There's like 3 of them that we really like. And actually, it's cool because we've taught Noah, our youngest kid, like with yogurt or cereal, we can only buy the cereal where the fiber and protein added together is greater than the sugar. So he'll look at that, and then sometimes he'll try to sneak it in, like, hey, can we get Honey Nut Cheerios? And we go, this cereal has been found wanting. And we get rid of it. All right, so yeah, you can get higher quality, good tasting cereals and stuff like that. What's really crazy, I was talking to the teachers at my Adventist Academy, and a lot of kids will show up with a latte, and that's their breakfast. And what's worse is their mom bought them the latte on the way to school. All right, it's like, don't do that. Don't do it. And the last thing, what really is important in the book Spark is 20 minutes of exercise is enough to activate your brain. So if you want your kid to be alert, not be a jerk, get good grades, gotta sleep, gotta exercise a little bit, no processed garbage, eat a breakfast. Pretty easy.
Can you cut the fat by cutting the fat from the diet?
No. That helps a little bit, but not much. And then your body, the body is built, like whatever it thinks it's losing, it's going to do everything it can to hold on to that. It's amazingly built.
So, what about the first thing you eat during the day? So even if you skip breakfast and you start with lunch, does it matter when you eat first? I've heard if you eat something like avocados, like healthy fat, it starts your fat burning cycle over here.
Yeah, maybe, I'm not sure. I'm not aware of any data for that.
You said it takes up to 2 hours to start oxidizing fat, using
Yeah.
fat as your main exercise. But if you're before that, I mean, you're burning calories.
Yeah.
And you're using your glycogen to store that. It's going to be replenished from somewhere. If your diet and caloric intake are cut down, your body will then take fat
Yeah.
and use that, right? So you're still burning fat, just not while you're exercising.
Yeah. Now the one thing is,
Right?
yeah, people talk about hitting the wall in a marathon, and they talk about your glycogen runs out, and then you just drop. What's happening is your body is using glycogen, and then starts tapering off. Then and then the fat comes on. So it's not like a switch that turns off. So as the longer you run, that's why some people have fat oxidation at 45 minutes, 60, or 90 minutes. Almost everyone at 2 hours. So it slowly gets turned on. But the more glycogen we're loaded, the more fat we have. It's much harder to get that activated. Ben?
Yeah, what about dietary ketosis before and during exercise? Because of not eating carbs, most of the molecules or the fatty acids.
Yeah, what about ketosis?
Yeah, well, they're not even exercising and they're restricting their carbs. So
Yeah.
the theory is that the body is burning fat, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that, there's people that will actually get urine strips and stuff so they can test how ketotic they are. The bottom line is that with the regular American diet, unless you're way below 50 grams of carbs per day, almost no one's ketotic. So that's why, I'll be honest, the paleo, ketogenic, CrossFit people and the vegans are really difficult to deal with because they all have like beliefs that are so ironclad to be true. But most people aren't ketotic. Very few people actually reach that range. So.
You mentioned exercising on a empty stomach, so that time of day matters as well. So it doesn't matter time of day you exercise.
There's some kind of soft studies where they think that if you exercise earlier in the day, it's better, and that for mental clarity and getting some kind of increased metabolism early on. But the biggest thing when I talk to patients is whatever is sustainable, workable in your life. If you can exercise after you come home from work and that's your stress relief, awesome. Whatever you can do, make it fit. If you're not an early riser, then you don't have to kill yourself. Having said that, talking about claiming the promises of waking you up, I used to go to bed at like 2 a.m. Wake up, roll out of bed, wash my face, jump in the car, and then go to work. And was slamming coffee to stay awake. Now I go to bed like at 10:30, wake up at 4, devotion, exercise, and life is so much better. So yeah, I think morning, there's something about the morning. And when they talk about people that are really prolific writers, almost everything is done in the morning. If you're writing papers, books, these people crank it out in the morning. And this is why if you read all of these efficiency expert books, they go in the morning, do everything creative. After lunch, start doing dumb stuff like email, bills, cataloging stuff, things that doesn't take a whole lot of mental energy. But yeah, but the biggest thing is whatever it takes to get you to exercise. And then if you can do it in the morning, it's even better.
Harvey,
Oh,
do you
right.
think that's connected to the fasting portion?
You
All night kind of thing, or?
For me, yeah. I mean, and probably most people, and this is not scientific, but most people have felt you have a really big fatty meal at 9 p.m. because you're out with your friends. How do you feel in the morning? You are mentally destroyed. You are so sluggish. So you wake up, after not eating anything, don't eat breakfast, and you start thinking. It's like, it's amazing how different that feels. So, you don't have to do it, but you may want to try it a couple of days a week and say, hey, is this better or not? If it works for you, then keep going. If it doesn't work for you, try something different.
Trying any of these new things, around what's the average time you think it would take for us to sustain it?
So that goes back to building habits. They think to build a structured habit takes about 6 to 8 weeks. So in the first 6 to 8 weeks, you're going to have to use willpower to make it happen. And the big thing is like a Stephen Covey thing. You have to schedule what you want to do. Like, I'm going to do my fast on Tuesday, Thursday, and write that in. Or I'm going to exercise, read my Bible at 5 a.m. And then after a while, though, it's like, then it becomes a habit. But until that time, you're going to have to burn some willpower. Yes?
Do you use that for break on weekends?
Yeah. Not for exercise. This is kind of funny. I used to not do personal devotion on Sabbath because I'm going to get it at church. No, I'm being dead serious. And then you go to church, and you're like the biggest jerk. So then I go, I need this more on Sabbath. So then I still do my devotion on Sabbath. Exercise, I feel great after I run. And I always go, this is my day of rest, right? And then my oldest son, he won't run on Sabbath. And he goes, Dad, this is the Sabbath day of rest. So I let him off the hook. He runs 6 days a week except for Sabbath. But for me, I feel so much, I run on Sabbath now, feel great. Don't do anything hard, don't lift weights, just run. And then I take a day off in the middle of the week. And diet-wise, the fasting, we have a special thing where Joyce makes pancakes for the boys on Sabbath morning. And they look forward to that, makes the day special. So I eat the pancakes for breakfast.
I just wanted to say, a friend of mine, we have found that if we fast on Sabbath, that we don't get that sleepy during the sermon. And I know it's funny, but if you watch, especially people who've done the sugar stuff, I seriously, we do it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I mean,
No, I think that's true, yeah.
but it works. It works.
Yeah. Now, you never fall asleep during Richard's sermons, right?
Okay.
Okay, good. All right. Yes?
You said about being careful after a workout what you eat.
Yeah.
And it's typically recommended that you eat a lot of protein, right? But as a vegan, you're not eating like eggs and that kind of thing. So would you recommend protein powder or fruit or like what is your post-workout?
You know what's great is whole food, plant-based. It's very interesting. Mark Sisson, who's the paleo guy, what he eats after a heavy workout is a big, ugly bowl of salad. And he's the guy that's promoting paleo diet. But the biggest thing is like the less processed, so the protein powders I don't really like. But protein, the biggest thing, to be honest, is not protein. What does your muscles really want after exercise? Well, rest, they want carbs. So you get some carbs in you, and that's probably the most important thing. Okay, we got to transition over. Thanks for your attention.